It's my great pleasure today to have the Reverend Bill Calhoun, my friend and former colleague at Montview Presbyterian Church. Bill was my boss, actually, during those days, and I've asked him to provide that kind of insight which only he can into these rich matters. My friend Jack Sanford told me about the Indian medicine wheel. He told me to picture a circle with 4 compass points. At the top is the eagle, who sees all the world, flying at the highest altitudes. At the bottom is the mouse, who sees all on the forest floor, not missing one seed. To the left is the deer, living in the pastoral world of feeling and the gentle. And to the right is the bear, at home in the world and unafraid of any creature. Now, the Native Americans believed, Jack said, that each of us is born into a spot on the wheel, and that while each of us wants to stay in the familiar birth spot, it is our task to move ourselves around the wheel, integrating all these aspects of ourselves through living life. In other words, we must know the high perspective of the eagle, the earthbound scrutiny of the mouse, the gentleness and community of the deer, the bravery and solitary courage of the bear. Few have the strength to complete this painful journey.
John and I first met 17 years ago this week, mystery of mysteries, and I learned right away that Jack Sanford was a very close friend, colleague, mentor, and companion with John. Well, I again was in speechless awe. I had in my readings of Jack Sanford, which had been fairly major at that point, I noticed how he moved from concrete words in Scripture to the deeper mystery behind, beyond, and within those words. But the mystery for me started that as a kid, I noticed that on my mother's table next to her prayer chair were books by Agnes Sanford, Jack's mother. And in my early years, I read most of those books, and Agnes Sanford was a mentor coach for me. And then I moved on to her son Jack and didn't think too much of the relationship. But one of the interesting things about Jack is that he kept moving deeper into the mystery of faith, of the Christian faith and the larger truths across the world. Richard Rohr and others now are saying a lot about the fact that on the faith journey, we move from the first part where we learn all the details and all the facts to a second, much deeper part. It's a deeper part that is less words and more feeling, more hunch, more knowledge, more trust. And for me, Jack Sanford was very helpful in taking me to the second half of life, to the deeper truths that words can point to, but only to point to the mystery that we just have to let hold us, and for us to try to hold and live in as much as we can.
This poem is called Where Do I Stick It In? Or Chronicle of Change. If I tried to chronicle change. I would be likely to stumble onto something, chew on it like a prized acorn blustered onto by a squirrel in winter, all shaking his booty for us to see. He discovers another Blarney Stone for the common man. And somewhere there must be encoded what the cognoscendi tell us is something that this must exist. The one truly authentic extraterrestrial Blarney Stone, I call it. Or better still, where do I stick it in? 4 or 5 easily understood paths to enlightenment. Let's try again with a true story. My friend Jack Sanford and I went hiking in the Mojave Desert in search of an ancient freshwater spring, long since thought lost in antiquity. Without a map or a compass, we hiked silently for about half a day. Jack led us to a tiny trickle of water, seemingly coming out of the mountain, hidden in plain sight to all except those with eyes to see. Jack put his canteen under the trickle, and it filled in about 5 minutes. Now Jack exfoliated the story that indeed this tiny trickle of water was enough to support a family of people, provided it could be found, of course. This was compelling to me. And that the missionaries, well-meaning, dug wells which eventually went dry, causing the people to forget the ancient trickle and eventually die, was indeed compelling to me as well. Jack and I hiked home as the sun set, and my greatest life mentor, saying few words, taught me the profound lesson of how to stay alive amongst the Blarney Stones, how to survive the impulse to ask merely, where do I stick it in? And on that day, I learned the chronicle of change. This is John Kuzma. Music for a while shall all our cares beguile.